Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds, and we are the scouting staff for the Hula Bowl. Today, I have with me one of the athletes who participated in that event. His name is Jeremy Lucien. He's defensive back out of Vanderbilt. Nice to see you again, man.
Nice to see you too.
So yeah, we had this guy down at the Hula Bowl. A pretty decent sized corner. I know. You did spend a majority of your collegiate years at UConn, and then eventually got to Vanderbilt, and put together a pretty solid career. So, um, before we talk any more about that, set the stage, man. Tell me where you're from, and walk me through your journey just a tad.
Okay, so I gotta say this because my mom always she claims Jersey. So I was born in Teaneck in New Jersey. Lived there until just before I turned 7. So just before I turned 7, I moved out to Pennsylvania. I don't know if you're familiar with the Lehigh Valley at all, like the Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton area. So I live over there about 25 minutes from Lehigh University. So I've been living there since I was about 7 years old. How I started playing football. So I have an older cousin named Donovan. He and his family, they live in Brooklyn, New York. So when I was younger, we used to go and watch him play high school football games every week. So I remember, telling my parents, "Hey, I really want to be like Donovan when I grow up. Like, can I start playing football?" So pretty soon after my 7th birthday, my parents signed me up, and next thing I knew, I was on the team. I was a little bit too old to play flag. So I started with tackle right away. And I remember being pretty nervous going into that. I remember I called my dad. Might have been maybe the day before the first practice. Like I called him all scared, like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Somebody might step on my hand." And he was like, "You just told me, you're being ridiculous. It's going to be all right. Just, go out there, just try to have a good time." Um, my first year playing, I was pretty bad. I didn't really know what was going on. I was kind of a space kid that out there, but fortunately, my dad was super dedicated to like helping me and my younger brother, who also started playing at the same time as I did as well. He was super dedicated to helping us work on our craft. So every day he would come home from work, take us out in the backyard, and we would be out there like running routes and like doing handoffs. Because I used to play running back when I first started. I was running back and receiver. My brother played quarterback, so we'd be doing handoffs. He'd be throwing me the ball, so we'd be out in the backyard pretty often throughout the week. So it helped us get a lot better. And then by the time my second season rolled around, I was one of the best players on the team. So just kind of went from there. So I had a pretty solid youth football experience. I ended up going up. Ended up going away to boarding school for high school. So ninth through 12th grade, I was at a school called Trout Rosemary Hall in Connecticut. It was definitely an interesting experience there. I went straight from youth football to high school, so like I skipped that like middle school playing
Mm.
experience. So that jump was kind of difficult because I'm going from playing underdeveloped middle school kids to playing against like 17, 18-year olds in high school. So it was definitely tough. Not I wasn't used to not being like one of the best players around at that time. So it was a little bit of an adjustment for sure. It's much more mental and physical game at that level because you're playing against basically grown men at that point. Um, but yeah, so it was a little bit of a rocky experience my first couple of years. But then by the time I got to my senior year in high school, things were going really well. I was one of the key starters on the team. I ended up getting a scholarship offer to play for UConn. I believe it was November of 2017. And it seemed like a pretty easy decision at the time. UConn was 50 minutes down the road from the school, so I was able to go visit there pretty often. So I ended up falling in love with the place, and then also having a scholarship offer from them was a pretty big piece of
It
the.
helps, yes.
Always helps knowing that you're going to have college paid for. So I ended up shutting my recruitment down pretty early. I signed during that early signing period, so that's how I ended up at UConn. And then
Interesting. Let's park for a little while and just kind of talk a little bit about this. So, like, uh, coming out of high school, you decide to go UConn. Um, but from what I've been told, Jeremy, you're a pretty smart guy. So, I mean, did you get any other offers besides UConn? I mean, even maybe some of the Ivy Leagues or what?
So UConn was the only scholarship offer I received. I received two other offers before that, one from Davidson College and another one from Columbia.
Interesting. I mean, I kind of figure you get at least one like offer from like an Ivy being
I
Columbia.
probably would
So,
have, but I shut my recruitment down pretty early, so kind of
Gotcha.
cap on all of that.
Well, it's hey, and it's fine. I mean, obviously you put together a solid career there at UConn, and then eventually got yourself to Vanderbilt. But um, what did you, I guess, finish up with at UConn? Because obviously you were a graduate there. What did you graduate with?
Mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering. Interesting. So, where's that going to lead you, man? When football's done, like way down the line, where's that going to head?
So to be quite honest with you, I've never been like one for, I've never been interested in an office kind of job. I've always been interested in more like doing more hands-on kind of stuff. So fun fact, so my senior project at UConn, every engineering student participates in this thing called senior design. So the way it works is I want to say there were maybe 74 to 76 project tickets. It's actual projects sponsored by real companies. So
Mm,
mine was sponsored by the Naval Undersea Warfare Center, but you at the beginning of the semester you rank your top five projects, and then they put you into groups based on your selections. I ended up getting my first choice, which was really nice. So we essentially had to build an electromagnetic launcher that like launches an underwater vehicle, like a vehicle underwater. Um,
that's fun.
it sounds really interesting, and it really was. It was a really fun time. We spent the entire school year working on it. At the end of the year, at the end of April, they have a big science fair called Demo Day. So everyone like brings in what we've been working on. We have all of our presentations in the basketball arena, and they have like judges go around judge everybody's projects. So my group actually ended up winning first place for it, which is really nice. But I guess stuff like that I've really been interested in doing. I'm not sure like what kind of a professional job I would want to have, but I know at the very least, I've talked to my dad about this before. Whenever I design I would like to design my own house one day, and I would definitely like to have like a space like in the basement, maybe like have a workshop or something where I could just build my own kind of stuff. So at the very least, I would be using the knowledge that I've gained to just kind of work on my own stuff. So
I
I
mean,
think that would be fun.
I mean, it sounds like fun. I mean, heck, maybe one of these days you'd be building something that we would, I don't know, send to Mars or something. I mean,
So
God only
you might
knows.
see me on Shark Tank eventually.
Yeah, we'll see how that comes about for you. But obviously finished up your time there at UConn, got a chance to enter the transfer portal and then go to Vanderbilt. So what kind of went into this whole idea about you entering the transfer portal, and what how was that experience overall?
So it was never going into the portal was never something I considered myself doing. I always imagined that I would completely finish out my career at UConn. So I came in fall 2018. We were a very young team at the time, and honestly, we were for pretty much my entire career there. But because of that, it was kind of difficult to compete with a lot of like more veteran, more weathered teams. Especially as a defensive player, I believe how many yeah, majority of my class coming in on defense, we ended up playing earlier than we probably would have under normal circumstances. It was definitely good for getting a lot of experience really early, but it was definitely a bit of a rocky experience for sure. But we try our best to kind of help the program get out of the hole that it had been in for a few years. But by the time 2021 rolled around, even though I had my most productive my most productive season to that point, just as a team, the energy surrounding the program and just where things were going didn't really look too great. I knew I only had a season left to play, and I was with the dreams that I have of playing in the league. I knew I was going to need to probably go somewhere where I can get not only a better opportunity, like just to play for a team with a little bit better of a culture, but also play against some better competition, um,
Sure.
so that I would be able to put myself in a better chance to get prepared for the next level. So it was a tough decision, but I figured that going into the portal would probably be the best thing for me. And looking back on it, it was definitely a great decision. I'm super happy where I ended up. I couldn't have asked for anything more. So.
Yeah, I mean, you end up playing the SEC against some would say the best competition in college football, and just kind of closing out your career, pretty nicely there. Jeremy, I kind of want to read a couple things that one of our scouts had to say about you. I mean, obviously throughout the season, we try and do scouting reports on players, obviously you being one of them. And the scout that wrote some information on you here, his name's Mike Bay. And so some of the things that he had to say about you, smart player, solid explosiveness, great hands in press, solid ball skills, good hip fluidity, and above average, what is it again? Against the run. So above average against the run. So what do you think, man? Is that accurate? I mean, how would you describe yourself as a player?
I would definitely say that's pretty accurate. The top two things I pride myself on, or the top two strengths that I think I bring to the table, are definitely my intelligence. I feel like it is very high, especially for the corner. There were a lot as a corner. There were a lot of times on the field where I felt like I could have played safety, like I was out there, directing traffic. Where a lot of the times you'll have corners who kind of like wait to be told what is the check, or what's the like what call are you going to be in? Like, you wait for the safety to say all that. But I felt like I had a pretty good handle on the plays where I could do all that stuff myself. And like, just see things coming before they happen. And above average in the run. That was a huge part of my game as well. Something I definitely had a lot of fun with. This was definitely the most physical season that I've ever had. I was asked to be in the run game a lot, but I took pride in that. Didn't shy away from it. I feel like as a corner, that's huge. If you're if you're willing to be part of the run game, and you're a willing tackler, you won't shy away from that kind of stuff. So I definitely think was a pretty accurate breakdown.
All right. And I think we had you listed around 6'1", 194, 195, something like that at the Hula Bowl. Where are you these days?
So I mean, if the height could have changed, that would have been nice, but it's still, yeah, about 6'1.5". But I have gained some weight, so I'm about 200 pounds right now, which is really good.
Okay, well, and obviously, you're a corner. I mean, I think people need to understand. I mean, you're a corner that can be very physical. There, like within that 5 yard, range there at near the line of scrimmage. But has anyone ever asked you to play anything else? Are you comfortable doing that? I mean, just give me your take real quick on you
Um,
and that sort of thing.
Nobody has. So I've played corner strictly on the outside. There have been maybe a few times when I might find myself in the slot, just based on the call. Like, we might be in depending on what a team is running each week, I might find myself covering the slot. Like, maybe the team has a tight end net wide, and we want to put the safety out there. Now I'll move over into the skill, whoever's in the slot, based on the call that we're in. I got one snap at safety last season. We were running cover one, and the way it works for a lot of teams is, if your guy's off the ball, you might expect him to go in motion. Well, if he goes in motion, you might spin with the safety who's in the post. So that happened one time. My guy went behind the line of scrimmage in motion, so I ended up in the post for a play.
Mm.
But I mean, yeah, aside from that, I've been typically just been on the outside. But I am expecting to most likely play a little bit of safety at the next level. So that's definitely something I'm going to continue to teach myself.
Sure. I mean, obviously you're a corner first, but one of the things that you really highlighted about yourself is obviously your knowledge of the game. I mean, and you maybe teased a little bit that you could really be an excellent safety if given the opportunity. So, but a lot of what you were talking about there is really just being a leader,
Mhm.
on that defense. So I got to ask the question with regards to that. Do you see yourself as a leader?
Absolutely. This is definitely something I also pride myself on. Um, I definitely took a liking to mentoring some of the younger players when I came in here. So there are a lot of freshmen um, who look up to me for support, guidance, whatever. There were a bunch of times after practices, I was helping some of the younger guys work on some technical stuff. Maybe if it like press footwork, just literally just simple stuff, just taking some steps, just getting comfortable in their stance. And then just also with the playbook stuff, we might be on the sideline during a team period, and another group is out there taking reps. I'm just watching, but then some young guys might come out to me, ask me, hey, like, so this is the play, like, hey, what do I have here? What do I have here? Just kind of trying to help the young guys along. That's definitely something that I've fallen in love with throughout my college career. Just trying to, because like I was an old head this year. I would forget that at times that I was so much older than a lot of the other people in the room. But I have a huge amount of knowledge. So just, giving back to people who need it.
Cool. Jeremy, I'm just kind of curious because I mean, sitting here talking to you, the one idea that keeps on going through my mind is this guy could be a coach someday. Have you ever thought about that?
The thought has crossed my mind. I'm gonna be honest, it's never been super high up on my priority list. Especially just hearing the kinds of things that like our GAs have to go through every week. I'm not sure if I necessarily want that for myself. But at least so not at the moment, I can't say that I would want to coach in an organized capacity like this, but maybe some kind of like being like a position coach. So I train with a guy named Eric Crocker. He's been one of my DB trainers for the last couple of years. So something like that, like maybe people come to me for like for specifically like technique work, or technical work. So maybe something like that. I would definitely enjoy doing that.
Well, I mean, you still got time. So, I mean,
That's true.
this could happen
I'm
10,
only
15
22.
years down the line. I mean, we don't know, but we don't know how your disposition is going to be at that point in life. But definitely something that I just kind of came to mind that you could potentially do if, if you felt led to. So, anyhow, Jeremy, we really liked you as a prospect and really felt obligated to extend an invitation to you to have you come down to Orlando for the Hula Bowl this past season. Talk about that experience for you, whether it be the call, the flight, that week of activities, the actual game itself. Let's talk through those things.
So I'm trying to remember where was I? I might have been doing a workout or something like that. So I get back to my phone's in my locker. I get back into the locker room and I see a missed call. So I have no idea, like unknown number. I have no idea who it is. But then like I get a text from the same number, and it was Damon. He was like, "Hey, this is Damon, like one of the directors for the Hula Bowl. You just said like give him a call when I get the chance." So I as soon as I saw that, I immediately got on the phone, was talking to him, and then he asked me, "Have you gotten any offers to play in any All Star games yet?" And I said, "Unfortunately, like I haven't had an offer at the moment, but hopefully I would get one soon." And then he said like, "Well, how about we change that?" So as soon as he said that, my face lit up, and then he extended me the invite. So as soon as I got off the phone with him, I called my dad, let him know, called my agent. So I was, that was a super exciting time. And then just the whole Hula Bowl experience, I loved it. I really appreciated you guys for extending me the invite. It was really fun to come down there, perform in front of NFL coaches, just compete with like some of the best people that are in this draft class right now. Um, so yeah, definitely enjoyed my time there. And then also all the events that you guys had for us after practices were over. I definitely like the Morgan Stanley financial dinner that you guys organized. I thought like all that was really helpful, and it's really good um, for us to kind of get some classes with financial literacy and stuff like that. So I definitely super appreciative of that.
Sure, we try to make things informative, also trying to keep things fun for you guys. It's a very intense week with a lot going on. I mean, you got to travel down and get your stuff together and worry about your gear and everything. It's a bit of a whirlwind, but yeah, I felt like you had a good solid week from the people that I talked to about you. And really, when it comes to all-star events, I think some of the biggest thing about it is really just building relationships and networking, whether it be with some of the players, the coaches, and then, of course, sitting down with the NFL teams. So, talk about some of those relationships that you were able to build during that time and maybe even those interviews.
So I'll start with the interviews first. So those were that was pretty cool. I've heard stories about what it's like for guys who go to the Senior Bowl. Like they'll go to practice and then they'll have interviews like for the rest of the day. They'll be super tired, be up like really late doing that. It wasn't it would definitely wasn't that bad at the Hula Bowl, but definitely got tiring at times. But it was super fun. And it just made me feel really good about myself. You get on off the bus, go back into the hotel, and your phone starts blowing up. Coaches or scouts are asking, "Hey, like, can you meet me at this part of the hotel, this part of the hotel?" So just to like for me to finally like be going through this process myself, that I've like heard stories from so many people was just such a really cool experience, and it was awesome to like to just talk to different scouts who are expressing interest in me, like they want to know about me as a player, want to know about my background. So I definitely enjoyed that a lot and had a lot of really good interviews. And I even had a few interviews after the Hula Bowl as well, which is really cool. And then in terms of the relationships, I mean, most of them were just with other players. There was a good, so I trained at this facility called X3 down in Fort Myers. Um, there was a good amount of people from that facility who actually were in the Hula Bowl as well. So those are the people that I got the closest to. But we shuttled over the people who were at the facility with me. It was about a 3 hour trip, but we had a really good time driving over there, just kind of kicking it in the back of the van. And then we're all talking about it after the fact, like the week after, just sharing our experiences and how much fun we had. So definitely got a lot of I would say lifelong friendships from that whole experience.
Awesome. So you go through the Hula Bowl, you have all these interviews, and you're doing all this prep. I mean, you were at X3 doing work there, and really preparing yourself for the upcoming draft. I mean, I gotta pause for just a second and ask you this thing. Bro, you are an NFL prospect. You're a legit NFL prospect. And it's possible you might actually end up hearing your name called.
Mhm.
Where's your head at? I mean, no, I mean
It's
for real. Like,
mhm.
how does that make you feel to hear those words?
It's a little unreal. And it's still it hasn't fully hit me yet. I think the first time it's gonna really start to set in is once I do my pro day, and then the days leading up to the draft, and like pretty much once the draft starts. But just the fact that like it all has kind of come up so fast. I just remember like being back in high school, like people that I played with, going through their draft process. One of the DBs I played with my freshman year of high school, his name's Will Harris. He's with the Detroit Lions right now. But I believe he got drafted in the third round. So I remember like, hearing his name called. That was such a crazy experience. And then just me thinking like, hey, that's going to be me in however many years from now. And then now I'm finally here going through the process myself. So it's just kind of unreal. And then just seeing how like all my family and friends' reactions, like they're all so happy for me. So I just can't wait for pro day. I can't wait for the draft weekend to come around. Especially knowing that there's a very good chance. I blow my pro day out of the water. There's a good chance that I could have my name called, which would be an awesome experience.
So let's go ahead and talk about that pro day. You got your pro day coming up very soon. You have any expectations, personal goals, maybe some numbers you're trying to obtain? Can you give me a teaser in that regard?
Uh, Let me think. I mean, yeah, I'll tell you. So I'm expecting to do really well. I know. So based on the numbers that I've run in Fort Myers, planning to have a really good day. My target is in the 4.4s for my 40. Bench is going to be another big one. Like typically people don't really care about that as much for corners, but for me personally, my best is 17. So that's a really good. So I'm
Awesome, mate.
definitely
That's what I'm saying, man. You put up too many of them bench reps, they're gonna put you at safety.
uh-huh.
So,
But yeah, so that I mean that'll definitely look pretty attractive. I feel, and then I've gotten some really solid times with my shuttles. So it's looking to be a really solid day. I feel like I'm gonna go in there, feeling really good. It's nice that it's in the afternoon, so I'll have like kind of the whole morning to prepare myself, get myself right. But I'm definitely feeling really confident about it.
well, it sounds like I mean it's very exciting, and we'll see some great numbers. Once you get on the field for that pro day, and definitely looking forward to seeing how that's going to go for you. So, uh, Jeremy, want to not talk football for just a minute or two? Is there anything else about you that you feel people need to know? Some of your interests, hobbies, passions, or anything else that you want to share other than being a football player?
So a big passion of mine that I enjoy sharing with people is the fact that I like to cook. So at the beginning of the pandemic back in 2020, um, this was the longest. Yeah, once I got sent home from school in like March for spring break, a lot of schools sent their kids home, didn't have them come back for a while. That was the longest I had been home for. Let me think. Yeah, longest I've been home, I want to say since like leaving high school. So like there was a lot of days when I was just kind of milling about, like not really sure what to do with myself. So I ended up like getting into cooking. So since then, like I've developed a pretty extensive list of recipes that I'm able to make. So one of the major things I do whenever I go home is it's usually around the winter time. I run like a mini cinnamon roll business, so I make homemade cinnamon rolls from scratch, and I'll like take orders from people throughout the area, and I'll be making cinnamon rolls from like I'll get up at the crack of dawn, make a ton of them. I think the most I made in one day was about 106. And I'll go out delivering to people. But that's something that I've definitely fallen in love with, is like cooking and baking. It's something I would potentially see myself continuing after football's over, like maybe starting some kind of a food truck business, or like maybe even a little restaurant. I'm not sure. That's to be determined, but definitely something cooking
Well,
related will be.
sure. I mean, it sounds fun. You just let me know when you're taking orders. Um,
I got to figure out how to deliver them, how to like ship them, how to like ship them out to people, because a lot of people have been asking, like people who live in other states, like when are you gonna be able to ship them? When are you gonna be able to ship them? But I mean that's something I could use my engineering mind for, figure something out.
sure. And I want them fresh though, man. That's the best way. So, um, all right. Well, Jeremy, it's been fun getting to know you and your story, and I'm very excited about your future, man. I mean, you have a lot of different interests, a lot of great talents. You got yourself an awesome degree. And you're a heck of a football player, who's got an opportunity to get into the league here very soon. So, um, as we wrap up, I want you to talk to the rest of those NFL scouts out there. Tell them why you need to be drafted and become a part of their team. So hit them with your pitch and close this out, man.
So yeah, so if you draft me, you're definitely gonna get a guy who's willing to give maximum effort, 150%. A guy who will come with a super good work ethic, um, super intelligent. I'm able to pick things up really quickly. Not gonna make a whole lot of the same mistakes twice. Great teammate to be around. I feel like I bring a lot of good energy to the locker room, to the field. But then yeah, just a guy who's willing to get after it and is gonna fall in love with everything about the whole process.
Awesome. Well, Jeremy, do wish you very, very best of luck. And I'll be glued to the TV and the internet really to figure out where you're going to be this upcoming fall. So, again, best of luck to you. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Sure. Again, I have with me Jeremy Lucien, defensive back, Vanderbilt. Check this guy out.